specifically the murder rate, has been the Achilles heel of our administration. This is unacceptable. But sounding the alarm and doing something about it are two different things. We invited independent actors to help us take a long, hard look at the practices in our police department. As a result, some changes were made. The number of officers on the street were increased, and our policies and practices are being updated. And while there are a number of changes still in progress, there are many factors, as all of you know, that contribute to crime. Lack of parenting, unemployment, lack of educational achievement, self-hatred, and such a multifaceted problem lends itself to an equally multifaceted solution. And while we can agree that the lead responsibility to address crime lies with the men and women of the Gary Police Department who work hard every day, we also know that there are roles that we can all play. But in accomplishing their task, they have to stay ahead of the criminals. So today, I am announcing the development of a task force led jointly by the U.S. Marshals Service and our department to address the most active criminals, particularly violent actors in the city of Gary. In the next year, we will make the necessary changes and difficult decisions to reduce the deficit, while evaluating many of the inequities that have existed in our salary structure for too long. This past year, we settled the 7-year-old back pay debt to police officers, but it does not change the fact that all of our public safety workers face the greatest peril and receive the lowest pay in Northwest Indiana. That is shameful, and that needs to be resolved. It is undeniable that education plays a key role in the progress of our community. I have found phenomenal partners in Dr. Cheryl Pruitt and Ms. Rosie Washington and the Gary Community School Corporation, and Dr. Sharon Johnson Shirley and the Lake Ridge School Corporation, and Kevin Teasley and the board of the GEO Corporation, and the Thea Bowman board and administration, and many of the schools throughout this community. Our educational institutions at the primary and secondary level have been challenged as a result of the heavy lift associated with educating a population that has experienced poverty at a staggering level. That means that extra measures must be taken to ensure that all children learn. Now, before you go around saying that I said I was going to take over the schools, let's make it clear. I have no authority over education in this community. But because of the partnerships we have developed, I have enough sense to know that the success of the city is inextricably linked to the successful education of our children at the primary and secondary level. Have you paid any attention to my early prognostications when first elected to office? You know that the Sheraton Hotel should be down by now, and the airport runway should be almost complete. The fact that they are not is a lesson in the delicate balance between patience and a sense of urgency. It is also a lesson in transparency and the willingness to acknowledge when something has not gone right. While the Sheraton is not down, the demolition of that 20-year eyesore is underway. It represents the first substantial step in the work of the Northside Development Team, a group that includes the EPA, HUD, the Department of Transportation, the Northern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, the Gary Public Transit Association, the Legacy Foundation, and the Regional Development Authority, working hand in hand with the city departments of redevelopment, community development, green urbanism, and planning. Up until May of last year, I had reports that the runway expansion and barrier removal project at the Gary Chicago International Airport was on schedule. It was as if I was the bad witch from Oz, don't say anything, who didn't want any bad news. I repeated this information, the part about things going well and us being on target, in a number of venues, only to learn that not only were we behind schedule, but a number of steps that needed to be taken to ensure completion had not even started. And while there was enough blame to go around, I didn't have time to engage in finger pointing. So I asked our then Chief of Staff, B.R. Lane, to do what I knew she could do best. Go to the airport, find out what we didn't know, and hold the contractors accountable. And while we've not removed every barrier, environmental challenges remain and delays may still occur. We have come a lot further in the 5 months that she has been there than the 1.5 years that people spent blowing smoke. The only way that we can build the Gary that our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren deserve is if we do it together. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a team sport. And so my challenge today is for those of you who are working to keep working with us. And for those of you who are still spectators, I want to ask you a simple question. What are you going to do? Will you continue to place side bets, or will you do your part and get in the game? What role will you play in our renewal so that you too can stand with pride when our collective labor begins to bear fruit?